Hey, what's up guys? It's Jack and this is the Buried Alive intro tutorial. Some people have voted on it to be slow with a lot of detail. However, I really do think that to do it slow and with much detail, it would take way too long. So if you didn't see the lesson that I had about the Buried Alive fundamentals, I'd strongly encourage you to check that out. Also, I will be going live on Instagram once a week for an hour to give you guys advice and kind of little mini lessons to help you get through it if you still have questions. So I'm in E standard tuning as the song is, and right now I believe the intro is out of the key of C. So let's go ahead and get started. And I would like to also forewarn everybody that I'm not entirely sure if this is right 100% or not. I watched a lot of YouTube videos of Sin Live, um, and I listened by ear, and I also got some advice from some of the students on the school. So hopefully it's right. If it's not 100% right, I'm sorry. I don't have a lot of time these days to spend on the tutorials like I'd like to. So we're going to begin, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to write me on Instagram or on the school, and I'll be glad to help you if I can. Okay, so keep in mind also I am a student, so I might mess up. This is a very long thing to teach. So we're going to begin. The first situation, the first measure is out of an A minor position. Actually, it's about the first couple of measures is out of an A minor position, and then it goes into an E minor. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit our bass open A with our thumb and middle finger pick with on the B string. We're going to slide up with our ring finger from the 5th fret all the way up to the 8th fret. So it's going to sound like this. Like that. All right. Maybe I should probably kind of turn the guitar a little bit like this so you guys can see my how my right hand is doing it. So we have this. Now with your ring finger, you're going to hit that C note on the high E string. So you're going to put your index finger down on the 8th fret of the E string. So we have. Let's see, hope maybe I should turn even more so. I want to make sure you guys can see this as best as you can because it's very heavy on the finger picking, so I want to make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. So we have this. And then you're going to hit the B string again, stay in position. So the picking with my right hand is thumb in middle, ring, middle, and then ring again on the 10th fret. So if you see my, watch this hand. So you're going to have your ring finger pick the 10th fret of the E string and pull off to the 8th fret. Sounds very Asian, doesn't it? Oriental music. So ring finger, pull off, and then hit with your middle finger. All right, so this is what we have so far. And you're going to hit that again, that same ring middle pattern. Watch just my right hand for now. And this is what it looks like together. So that's the first part. That is the part that is, let's see. Right there in that measure is when you're going to hit that thumb on the low E string for that C note bass. You're going to wrap your thumb around like that. If you don't have very long hands, see, like if you keep your hand relaxed back here like this, you're not really going to be able to hit that if you don't have very long hands. So it's okay to kind of shrug your wrist up and kind of curl it over there to make sure that that gets hit. So we have this. And make sure you keep these fingers down. Don't let them off because you don't want to lose that beautiful ringing sound. And even I have a problem with this in this song, is to make it very flowy. So, and now we're going to go to an E bass. So you have, this is your position. This is that E minor where the E minor chord work starts. So you have your middle finger on the 7th fret of the A string. And then you also have your pinky finger on the 8th fret of the B string. All right. So kind of practice going into there. And then I'm hitting that with my thumb in my middle, because what you want to do is you want to take, let's see, how can I show that? You want to take your ring finger right underneath there on the E string, because that will make that. So you want to do thumb and middle, and then hit with your ring finger on that high E string. And then you're going to go back to your, keep staying in position. Don't move this hand. It's this hand that's starting to do all the work now. So you go middle, and then let that pinky off. Or I'm sorry, not my pinky. Let your ring finger off. Because what you're going to do is now you've got this A note down here with your index finger. So you have this. So thumb in middle, ring, middle, ring. And that's, of course, I'm telling you what to do with this. Now, when you keep that in position, you're going to hit that middle finger again and slide up to the 10th fret of the B string. You're going to slide up. So we have this so far. Now after this, it goes into kind of like a D minor add 9-ish kind of thing for a couple of measures. So I'm so sorry if my guitar is out of tune. I'm taking this bad boy in on Monday to get his intonation fixed. So I've tuned him 100 times, but the weather's constantly changing. So I apologize if my guitar is a little out of tune. So yet again, you're going to hit your bass note, which is a D. And to play this, you are going to want to bar across all strings right here, starting from the A string on the 5th fret. So you have your thumb will hit the A string, and your middle finger, I believe, is what I do. I'll probably get lost of how I play stuff because this is going to be a very in-depth thing. Your middle finger will play the G string on the 7th fret, which is essentially the octave. Now you're going to want to leave your this middle finger off, but keep it kind of over that F right there on the 7th fret of the B string, because what you're going to do, watch the right hand, you're going to go thumb middle, ring, thumb middle to ring. All right, so then back to your middle finger. This, yet again, I'm explaining that middle finger, or the right hand. And then you're going to put that middle finger down on the 8th fret of the B string and hit it with your ring finger on the right hand, or your rhythm hand, I should say. And you're going to pull off. So now we have. And then you're going to kind of repeat that little jingle again. Pull off. You're going to strike the B string to the G string once more. Actually, I think I'm getting confused on my own self. Let's see. Okay, so what you do is you hit, and then the B string to pull off to the G string, hit the B string one more time, and then you're going to do that walk down, that C to B walk down. So to do that walk down, reach with your pinky to the C note on it's the 8th fret of the E string, and then you're going to hit it with your thumb, use your thumb, and then this is kind of like A minor-ish kind of thing again. So what you play right here is you have your index finger on the 5th fret and your middle finger on the, okay, so first finger on the E string of the 5th fret, and then middle finger on the G string of the 5th fret. Pick that, pluck it with your thumb and middle. So far we have. Now you're going to hit with your ring finger on the open E string, and then middle finger on the open B string. And then take your index finger with your right hand and place your pinky on the 7th fret of the G string and do a little slide down. And then hit the open B string with your middle finger, and then index finger on the G string, and then middle finger again, and then lift off with this. So that whole part sounds like. It's actually hard for me to play it without going into it. That's what I'm saying. Forewarning you, I will get lost in translation. Hopefully that makes sense. Then you start it over again, and you want to make sure you let those bass notes kind of ring out. But when you go to do this slide up right here, you want to make sure that you kind of don't let too much start to ring out. It can be very easy for you to, when you do the slide up, to repeat it again. You might hit other strings, or too many strings might start ringing out from all the pull-offs and all the picking work and everything like that. So just be aware of what your guitar sounds like so you're not having too much going on. So let's start that from the top. I'll go slow. So what you want to do is you basically play the same thing over again. Now on that part, when you go, instead of going like this, like that, you're going to hit the, instead of finishing it off on that G string only with your ring finger, right, this little guy, you're going to want to actually pluck the octaves together. So you're going to do the bass note of the D. So you're going to strike with your thumb on the 5th fret of the A string, and then on with your middle finger on the where your ring finger is, the 7th fret of the G string. You're going to do a walk up. So you go from a D octave on the 5th fret to an E octave on the 5th or 7th fret, and then F octaves on the 8th fret. So you have this so far. Alright, hopefully you guys are following along. This tutorial is a little bit of a challenge, so I appreciate you being patient with me if I flub it a little bit. So now we're up here, and this is what Sin does. What you're going to do is you're going to pluck that octave, like I said, And with this, make sure this is barred as much as you can. Flatten that sucker with all, like your life depends on it. So you're going to pluck with your middle and your thumb, and then you're going to use your ring finger to hit that B string on that 8th fret. And then you will flatten this to hit that B string again on the 8th fret. Now with this, I'm not entirely sure how he picks it. I will just hit that B string twice. I know in the fundamentals tutorial I said, oh, you want to try to use alternate fingers as much as you can, but it's ultimately whatever feels comfortable for you. We can always break the rules. So he goes like this, flatten, like that. And then this is psychotic. I saw him do this. I don't know how he manages to do it, but he'll continue with this part flattened, barred. When he goes back down to the E, he'll hit the, he'll flatten his finger and do the hammer on, pull off, and then lift that finger just like that, and somehow it still gets like a pull off effect. I can't do that. I tried it for hours. I can't get it to sound the way he does, playing it the way he does. So if you want to, you have this. Let's see, I'm kind of lost now. See, I can't see how he does that. You can work like that if you want to, but I think he's a wizard and that's why he can do that. So if you can't do it, like I can't, just ultimately reposition yourself and then make this finger no longer barred to where it's just on the B string on the, let's see, the 9th fret. And you're gonna, you've already gone back down to that E position a little bit. So this will be on the 7th fret of the A string. And you're gonna pluck with your thumb and middle finger the A string and the B string, and you're going to hammer on with your pinky on the 10th fret, and pull off to the 9th fret, and then pull off with your ring finger to the 7th fret, and then you'll kind of hammer it back on, like that. And I have a hard time not hitting that E string right there. As you can hear, I'm kind of tinking that. All right, so this is what we have so far. And then you're going to strike when you go, you want to hit that 10th fret of the B string again with, I use my middle finger. Some other time I might use my ring finger. All right, so we have this. Now, this is a very tricky spot. You're going to want to go, you're going to want to hit your open A with your thumb, and you're going to want to keep these fingers kind of down. And I personally believe he will slide from the 5th fret, and then sometimes it makes more sense to slide from the 8th fret. So let's start from sliding on the 5th fret. You're going to strike with your thumb and middle finger together. Kind of like what we do in the very beginning, right? Now he does a vibrato on this part. You can either pull down. I'm more of a favor of pushing up, but. And hit, go from the 10th fret, I'm sorry, the 8th fret to the the 8th fret to the 10th fret. Like that. And then you're going to slide from the 10th fret. You're going to have your ring finger on the G string and your middle finger on the E string of the 10th fret. You're going to pluck it with your thumb and your middle finger together, and you have got to do a quick slide down with this. If you don't, it sounds so bad. Some people have told me that he slides from the 7th fret or the 9th fret down and not the 10th fret. I'm not entirely sure. I couldn't ever get a clear view of what he was doing. So experiment with that and you can pick out, what you think sounds the best. So we have this. Like that. Now this is where the reach kind of gets a little complicated. Keep these fingers in position. And with your middle finger, this is out of a pentatonic work. So keep your index finger down on the G string of the 5th fret. And then hit with your index finger, middle, index, and then middle on the D string. And you're doing a little walk down. And then index on the 5th fret of the D string. So it sounds like this. All right, so let's do that from that spot. And this is a problem that I have with this song still, is I have a tendency to let off that bass note and it kind of deadens it. Try not to do that. You want everything to sound as smooth as you can. And it'll take a long time. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but just keep working at it and you'll get it. Now this is the other tricky spot that I spent most of my time learning on this spot. It's a very hard thing to do because you're trying to slide up from almost the same fret, but then have a different fret span whenever you slide up, and that's hard. So after this, take your middle finger, or I'm sorry, your ring finger, I apologize, and you're going to place it on the 8th fret of the B string, and keeping this one, trying to make it so you can see it, your middle finger on the B note of the E string. Keep that there. You're going to pluck them together, but then you're going to slide up to where the fret span is no longer them being right next to each other. There's going to be a fret spacing. So when you hit like that, so your middle finger slides up to the 8th fret. So you will be on the E string of the 8th fret with your middle finger, and your pinky will be on the 10th fret of the B string. All right. So this is that moving bass thing that we're trying to do when he does a little walk up with the bass notes. So we have this so far. And now we're going to do that the index finger on the 10th fret. Oh, I'm sorry, the 8th fret with our index finger. So when we slide up, you're going to lift that pinky off, and then you're going to hit where that index finger is on the 8th fret of the B string. And you're going to go back up again. Oops. All right. Before I get lost with where I am, let's do it from right here. And then here we have the bar chord hammer-on situation. So you're going to go back down to your D. You're going to slide. You want to use a lot of slides in this as much as possible. Don't lift your fingers off too much. So you're going to go ahead and pluck the in your 5th position of your D. You're going to strike with your thumb and your middle finger on the A and the G string. And you're going to hammer on with your ring finger to that G string on the 5th fret. I'm sorry, 7th fret. And I strike it twice with a hammer on. Strike again. So we have this. And then this is where I thought it was kind of very difficult for me to slide all the way down from the 5th fret back up again. So maybe I cheat, maybe I don't. I start from the 8th fret, but you can do, because I feel like it's kind of more practical. You're kind of more closer to that than jumping all the way down here. Maybe he doesn't. I couldn't see whether or not he did it. I would still like to practice it either way, and you can pick whatever you feel is best for you and what you personally believe sounds the best. So we have this. Here's that pretty part. After that, you do that again. You do that little slide up and you do that little walk down again. And then you bar a complete D major bar chord. And you will strike the A string with your thumb on the 5th fret. And you will also strike the B string on the 7th fret with your middle finger. And you will hammer on with your pinky on the 8th fret of the B string. And then you slide down to a C position. And you will pluck with your thumb and your middle finger. And you will pluck on the 3rd fret of the A string and the 5th fret of the B string. And the picking pattern for that, hopefully you guys can see it, you will do thumb and middle, and then index, thumb, middle, index. So it goes A string and B string together, then G string, D string, B string, G string. I believe I got that right. So we have all right, and it does that over again. So we have, let's start from the very, let's see. Let's start from when we first come back in with that slide, where it does the vibratos. And then here, you could slide from the 5th fret, and you do it over again. And now we're almost done. My favorite part. I'm actually going to turn my volume up a little bit. All right. So we're out of an A minor like position. This is where a lot of the things come in where I'm not entirely sure if I'm playing it the same way he does. I know when he does that little slide up thing live, he usually does it with his pinky, but I can't reach it with my pinky. So you're going to be in 5th position with your middle finger on the 5th fret of the low E string and your ring finger on the G string of the 5th fret. And you're going to pluck it with your thumb and middle. Like so. So you hit that and you're going to walk down. So you will be with your middle finger, your ring finger on the G string of the 4th fret and your index finger on the 3rd fret of the E string. So you have, now right here, hit the open E string with your ring finger. And then slide down. You will hit the open you will hit the open string of the E string again with your middle finger, ring finger, I apologize, right down here. And you will strike that F note with your index finger on the 1st fret of the E string. And then with your middle finger, you will strike that G string that is on the 2nd fret with your ring finger. So you have this. And after that, slide up to the 5th fret. And this is how I do it. It's a harmonic. You tap on the 5th fret right there on that fret bar. Don't do it down here. Do it the one up here that's closest to the 6th fret. And you barely want to touch it and let it off. So when I do that slide, don't let this finger off. You don't want to go. You want to keep everything as fluid as you can. All right, so let's do that part again. And I love it when he does his slides up here. Slide to an indefinite point after you do that cool little thing. Wherever you feel like sliding to, just ramp. But make sure you keep your finger on the fret. Don't fly it off into space. So after you do it little, then you do it again. But right here on the second time, I believe he does this. He hits that G string twice on the second time around, where your ring finger, I'm sorry, yeah, that was your ring finger. I don't know my anatomy. But then here, this may sound terrible. For some reason, I cannot get mine. Sometimes I can make it come through as clear as he does, but very rarely. After it now, when you really hold this last one out, keep holding that out, and with your middle finger, hit the 24th fret, and then of the E string, the high E string, and then hit the 22nd fret. Actually, is that even right? Let's see, 17, 19, 21. Yep, 24. You hear how nasty that sounds on my guitar? Then you're going to want to hit your index finger, such like that, on the B string of the 22nd fret. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. That was very, very, very challenging because it was a lot. I will be going live on my Instagram so that if you guys have any questions, I hope I didn't miss anything. It was very difficult to do to not get lost, so I appreciate you guys being patient with me. Hopefully you learned something, and I will see you guys on the next time when I do the second part of the intro, and then of course the verse, the chorus, and going into the solo. You guys have a great, great afternoon.